Gotcha.
You all good
Hello,
over there?
check, check.
Check,
Turn
check,
my
check,
turn my
check,
mic
check.
off.
Yeah,
Mute
turn
the
turn the
mic.
mic off too, if you wouldn't mind. We got 5 seconds, Caitlin. Woo! Good evening and welcome to another exciting episode of Goth Yearbook After Hours. It is your host, as always, Eric, aka the Eric Wynn. And with us, as always, is that hostess with that mostest, Caitlin, aka the Caitlin D. Caitlin, how's it snickering? Oh, sounded weird. I don't know if I like that word.
Yeah, I don't know. I maybe, and I was gonna snicker, but then I was like, I don't actually know what a snicker sounds like. I guess it's hee.
That's more devious.
So yeah, that's how it's going. I just watched. I'm like so excited to talk about this. I can't even hold back.
Get it.
I just watched the Netflix documentary. It's like a 4-part new series that they did on the Elisa Lam. What I thought was an unsolved mystery, and what actually, after watching it, I feel like the book, for me at least, it's closed. Do you think it's a spoiler if I give my take on it, or like sort of what it reveals?
Hey, we're putting it here right now. Spoiler alert about an event that happened like a decade ago.
Well, but there are new revelations. Yeah,
there are, but we're getting into it right now. So spoiler, if you don't like this, just like do a little
skip like 5 minutes. Yeah.
20 minutes later. Like,
also, I do want to say like some content warning, like mental health stuff too, because that's like it's pretty heavy actually. So if you're not familiar with the case, Elisa Lam was like a 21-year-old tourist from Vancouver who came and stayed at the infamous Cecil Hotel in downtown Los Angeles, famously on Skid Row. They did a whole rebrand. It's like been there since the 1920s, and it's always, especially like after the Depression, it's always been this sort of flop house. They offer rooms for like $20 a night, $10 a night, $5 a night, and like they have this like weird opulent lobby, but then the rooms are really crappy, and it's just known for being a place for people to go and like disappear if they want to like go on benders or do drugs or engage in illicit activities.
illicit
and
activities.
But they have this like rebranded portion of the hotel called Stay on Main that, like, if you're driving by, it looks like this, like, it's like orange paint and, like very like modern, sleek, kind of like Swedish looking, like friendly, like, come on, this is fine. It's safe in here. And it's not, it's like truly not, but it draws all these travelers. So she ended up going there, and it's similar in a few ways. I think that like capture the imagination in the same way that like the Chris Watts murder of the Family Annihilator case is, in that like the victim led so much of her life online.
Yeah.
She didn't post videos like Shanann Watts, but she had a Tumblr page that she like extensively journaled on, basically. And so there's a lot of like personal information about her sort of in the atmosphere and like leading up to her death. She went missing. She wasn't found for 19 days. There was this huge investigation because her parents were like, what I found kind of weird was like they put like a massive amount of effort into finding her, and people go missing so often on Skid Row, and the fact that she wasn't from America, it just was like, it's not like, oh, this is a conspiracy, this is weird. I was just like, how does one person get so much attention when so many people don't? But I guess it was just a combination of factors.
Well, the video, the infamous video, like it was so, I'm sure that helped like get a little bit of extra spotlight on it too.
Yeah, so the police released, but even before then, they swept the entire hotel for this girl. It was over 700 rooms and like 15 floors.
That is crazy considering what the hotel, like what that hotel is like notorious for. Like I could imagine so many times people have called about their kids being there and the police being like, whatever, like the kid went there to go get fucked up. Yeah.
But that aside, because that's not really, and that's a dead end. There's nothing there. But the video came out of, the police released the video to the press of her in this elevator, and it's this really disturbing footage that's like her getting into the elevator. It's 4 minutes long, and she's like doing these weird like rocking like back and forth, and then she'll like lean out the door and look both ways and then like tuck herself back in and kind of scoot up against the wall. And she also like very weirdly like bends over and clicks all the buttons in a line, and the whole time it looks really spooky because the elevator doors are like staying open for like minutes at a time, and it's like, what the fuck is happening here? They break all that down in the documentary, and actually none of that is mysterious. And so this is where it sort of comes, well, first of all, then the other sensational part of the case was that like people in the hotel started complaining that the water tasted real weird and sweet and it was coming out dark. So her body was found in the water tank up on the roof of the hotel, and which is disgusting and traumatizing. And I can't believe that there were people in the documentary that were like from England, and they were like on vacation in the hotel when this happened, and they like drank the water, and they were just talking about it like, oh yeah, that sucked. And I was like, I don't think I would ever be able to talk about that. Like,
yeah,
that would fuck me up so bad, just knowing you drank like dead body water. Anyway, so they found her, but then it became this huge internet mystery sort of thing. All sorts of conspiracy theories came out of it. This is where it gets to the spoiler alert. By the end of the documentary, it becomes really clear that like Elisa Lam had really severe mental health problems. She was bipolar. She wasn't taking her meds as far as they could tell by the amount of medication that she had versus how much she should have been taking and her prescriptions and everything. The math wasn't adding up. Also, the hotel said that while they did tell the detectives about this, they didn't tell the media that she had been behaving really irrationally, like leading up to her disappearance. Like she actually had to be removed from a bunk room. I guess there were rooms where you would share like a hostel, like with other guests. And the other girls were like complaining about her because she would like leave notes on their beds that were really aggressive and like threatening. Really? And she like wouldn't let them in the room because she wanted a password. And so they like moved her to a separate room. And then I guess she had this thing where she was trying to, I was like sleeping a little bit during part of this documentary.
Wow. Incredible film review right out the gate.
Investigative journalism. Yeah. And she, I guess, went to like a taping of a TV show or something. She tried to like have a letter hand delivered to the host, and she was like making kind of a scene and making sort of a big deal.
Did they say what was in that? You had told me about that part.
I don't. That was the part where I was sleeping. I feel rested though. I feel sharp.
Imagine like reading like a film review or something. It's like, admittedly during this part I was asleep. I actually really love this movie, by the way, and I'm feeling really good as I type out this review.
Imagine I'm like the detective, and I was like, I was reviewing the security footage. I was sleeping for a little bit, but that just means I'm real sharp now.
You're at the press conference saying that.
I was feeling very sleepy. No, she was just acting very manic, basically. Yeah. And she was off her meds, so that's, and the whole thing. And I guess she then went also into the hotel lobby and sort of did a whole like, I might be crazy, but so is LA. Yeah. And like a very kind of cringy, and like we've all, I don't know, probably some of our listeners even maybe have some of these moments themselves. I know,
that sounds relatable.
Yeah. She was having a psychotic break. It seems really congruent with the sort of behavior that she would display back home, that her sister was talking about with the detectives as well. And her family didn't appear in the documentary, which, like, who can blame them for that? And honestly, it really reframed to me, because I even at one point was like, I don't love conspiracy theories, but I do think it's weird when evidence has like clearly been tampered with, and there were cuts in the footage of the elevator. There were things slowed down, but the cops did sort of have an explanation for all that. They were like, we slowed it down because we were trying to get, like, we were hoping someone would recognize her, and so that like people would see her face for a longer period, and not to like make it look weird,
right.
And the timestamp thing, I don't remember what they said about that. I was awake, but I think I was like texting.
My associates were telling me why they did this. It sounded good to me.
Yeah. Anyway, the way it all kind of, the cookie crumbles was, it very much seemed like a mental health event more than anything else. She was like deep in paranoia, probably hallucinating, which all sort of checks out. That being said, there are a number of factors I think that contribute to like the weirdness and the mystery of it, and they do go over that in one of the episodes, so I really highly recommend watching the documentary if you're into that aspect of it. What? Sorry,
I just can't, I'm still laughing at you, like being like, and they did hit all these notes, but then still think about the fact they're like, I did sleep during some of it.
I took a little napo. Yeah. I also, by the way, Nelson Mandela just reset my time, so I had to do a quick time change. He doesn't like me talking about this.
It's been happening on my laptop. I forgot to tell you that. It's been happening on my laptop the last like 2 weeks. Yeah, for the listeners at home, if you're new to the show, Nelson Mandela does haunt Caitlin D's laptop. It's kind of a crazy story, but
it's a bit of a long story. Yeah, and I'm deep in this Elisa Lamb thing.
Yeah, we'll go back to this later.
Put a pin in it.
Yeah.
We do have a guest waiting too, so I want to try to wrap this up. But one thing I loved, there are so many synchronicities, and the same thing with the Chris Watts case. Like, there's so many weird paranormal things going on. And I think my favorite one in this case, again, spoiler alert, skip ahead if you don't want to hear it, but at the time there was a conspiracy because there was like a new strain of tuberculosis that had sort of hit Skid Row like 2 days after she died. And one of the theories was that she was like a government biochemical weapon against homeless people or something. And what's the only weird, like, credible thing about that, it's not even credible, it's just a weird coincidence, there was a self-test like sort of document released for people, and one of the ways that you could self-test was called the Lamb Elise.
Oh yeah, like, I remember that when that came out. Yeah, now I do recall that being like talked about online a lot, and that was kind of a weird.
That was weirdsies, not really enough to fuel like a whole MK Ultra type conspiracy theory,
Yeah.
And what was the other thing I wanted to say about this? It was like one last thing. I can't remember. Damn it. I don't know.
Tune in next week when Caitlin will break down the 17-part series of The Staircase in 10 minutes. You're like, I don't know. They talked about like an owl at one point. I was really asleep during 3 of those episodes.
Wait, what's The Staircase?
That's what I think, My Favorite Murder. That's like how they even started that show, is talking about that one. It's like this one from, we don't have the time. We'll have to get into another time. But basically a guy pushed his wife down the staircase and it turned into like a forever rolling out fucking trial about it. And at one point they were talking about like owls hitting her, and that's how she fell down the staircase.
Okay, I do vaguely remember that. And then owls are like a weird thing in like manifestation communities and stuff. Okay.
Sure.
There's other weird shit with the Elise Lamb. I honestly don't even remember what the documentary was called, but it's on Netflix. They did not pay for me to endorse them. I just think this stuff is fun. Oh, I know what it was. Take your meds. Because like you might think like, oh, this is the real me, but you don't want to end up like trying to go swimming in a hotel pool that's not a hotel pool.
If you want to hear more about this kind of stuff, subscribe to our Patreon, patreon.com/Goth Yearbook After Hours.
Okay, now I'm sweating.
Me too. We do have a guest who I am going to ask to unmute and ask to turn off their video. Astral projecting from down there where you're at, Caitlin, down there in beautiful Southern California. Oh, we got them now. Please welcome to the show, Coma Girls. How you doing, sir?
Hey, thanks for having me.
How's it going? By the way, love that actual. We were kind of joking beforehand how like we make our guests wait in a green room before letting them in the Zoom, and you're actually in like a green room right now. I'm digging the vibes.
Yeah, keep it green in here. Is the lighting's okay? It's okay.
Oh, love it. It's brilliant. How you doing? How you doing this evening?
What'd you say? Sorry.
How are you doing this evening?
I'm hanging in there. Yeah, I'm good.
Right. I know like there's so much to talk about, but we gotta get, because of like how much time this is probably gonna take, we should just dig right into the topic that the three of us were discussing right before we went on air, which is Britney Spears. Caitlin has some kind of like hot news about the Britney Spears situation that I guess just like popped up in the last couple hours.
I know. Doesn't it suck? Doesn't it suck how like we get our news like via Instagram? You're like, oh, this person that's beloved to us all like just died. It's like you find out via Instagram story.
I feel sorry for anyone who gets news from me because I'm like, I saw this on Reddit. I'm not sure if it's true. I was asleep. But yeah, I just saw on Reddit like that 4 hours ago they posted that her father did lose the case about her conservatorship. So Britney is free.
That's awesome.
Reading it right now on NBC News. Britney Spears' father loses bid to retain control of delegating her investments.
Hell yeah. Britney Spears' father loses I was just watching that with my friend and I just rewatched it and showed it to my friend. They're kind of dog sitting for me over there on my bed. Yeah, that's fucking awesome.
Hell yeah. So Kayla and I many months ago, like when we first, like basically a year ago when we first started the show, we had talked a little bit about the Britney Spears situation, but neither of us have watched this documentary that I believe it's on Hulu, right?
Yeah, it's on Hulu as FX put it out originally, and then they aired it subsequently.
Do you want to give kind of just like the brief like summary or synopsis of what that documentary is about?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it kind of touches on like her mental health deteriorating. You know, she had like a bad year or two and lost her custody of her kids and finding custody of her kids. And I'm a caregiver, so I've kind of recently been dealing with some conservatorship stuff for this old man that I look after. And it seems like, you know, it's funny how it's like what she was saying, and is like, I want the bank to be involved. I want an unbiased person, you know, not a family member, not someone who has an agenda.
Right.
So I thought that was kind of, it's like the bank is in charge of his stuff. And I was like, that's great, because it's like someone that's, you know, doesn't have a prerogative, you know, when there's that much money at stake. And
that's
so
not prerogative.
I was gonna say perfect word choice.
So I feel like, yeah, that's fucking awesome. I didn't know that. I was like, that's good news to get. This is like a celebration now, you know?
Yeah, and I mean, just all on the topic of mental health. I remember like when we used to rant, because I've followed her Instagram probably since I had Instagram, and like my friends and I used to like send each other her videos, just sort of being like, what is up with Britney? And like sort of not like making fun of her in a mean way, because we've always really liked her, but also just being like, what is like this person doing? Like, she's always at home. She's like, her Instagram videos, especially, they used to be different. Lately, I mean, they've been considerably, I think, more obviously, like, I don't want to say cries for help, but like maybe. But like before, she used to do these, like she'd walk down her lawn, like hallways in her house in different outfits, and like just things that were like, we thought they were cute, but we were also like, what's going on with her? And it was sort of like a ha-ha thing. And then all this stuff started coming out about the conservatorship. And it's like, it's honestly so sad, because she really hasn't done anything to deserve like any of the twisted shit that she's gotten involved in. She's so pure of heart.
Yeah.
So we love Britney. We support her.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
it's my girl.
I will say, like, for the longest time, I would have to admit, like, for like a lot of the pop stars that are out there, I was not like the biggest Britney fan, and I think it was just because like for the longest time I always, it's so crazy like how much I've changed on this topic, but for the longest time I was like, oh, like she just doesn't have like a true vibe or thing that's like her thing. the way that like Rihanna does or Lady Gaga or this, that, and the other. But then like in the last like 5 years, I've just come to realize like, oh my God, like she had such a specific thing. Like she has such a trademark that I had never just appreciated, I think, at the time. Probably because when
you were just trying to be not like other girls.
Well, I wouldn't say that's true because I've loved pretty much almost every other pop star that's out there. But especially at the time, I will say I did have like a little chip on my shoulder because I was like a huge Christina Aguilera fan back in the day, and I always felt that like Christina never got her fucking due. But you know, I have to eat crow on this one. I feel like I owe Brittany a huge apology. I see you. I love you. I'm glad that things are looking up for you finally.
I mean, I feel like maybe I'm speaking out of turn, but it's like I feel like she's kind of a pioneer in a lot of ways, where it's like people like Christina Aguilera kind of had an easier path through like TRL and like finding fame through MTV, because Britney Spears was kind of penetrating that during the boy band age, where it's like, you know, Justin Timberlake with Cry Me a River was kind of really painting her in a negative light and all this stuff, and it's like that shit wouldn't fly nowadays, you know, and people would be more concerned about her. So it's really great that that's kind of the end game there. That's fucking awesome. I think like they show a lot of like footage in that documentary of her kind of like being a visionary and mapping things out and doing these huge stadium tours. I mean, like, this is how I want this to be, and this is the backup dancer I want on stage of me. And I'm from Atlanta, and I like Cardi B a lot. I think that she's like a real personality, and I like just kind of gassing her up. And she's kind of the same way. I was watching something with her where she's like, I have ideas that I want to execute and I know what I want to do. And it's like, so for Brittany, the worst thing for her is for somebody else to be in creative control, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like she's just kind of be herself. But yeah, I mean, recently on Instagram, it's like, it went from tabloids to Instagram, the way people are perceiving her. And I think there's a lot of, you know, it's like when you're like looking for Easter eggs, you can kind of make things into whatever, but she's like clear. I used to be on SSRIs and I know what it looks like. And it's like, God, who's giving you drugs? And what are they giving you? And it's like, but I don't want to speculate on that. But that's good news for her. That's fucking great.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things that like is such a shame that I've read about, and who knows, again, like what we don't know what's true, you know, but that was that she wanted to release this like more singer-songwriter-y kind of like folky album in recent years, and that was something that was like not allowed while, you know, her dad was in control. And I'm like, I want that album so bad.
Kidding.
Totally. It's like, that's like, you know, the past two T-Swift records, I kind of feel like they were a lot more honest than like, you know, what maybe like Miley Cyrus is doing right now. We can get into that too, but I really appreciate just kind of like true songwriters, kind of just like bare bones, you know, stripped down and writing good songs.
Yeah.
So I think the less people that are involved, the better, honestly, with things like that. And you have like 20 ghostwriters on something, kind of gets lost in translation, you know?
Yeah.
I shout out to Taylor Swift tonight at midnight. I think she's going to release what's that big single from back then? She's redoing, for like those who aren't following, like her way of getting around the fact that this guy in this company won't give her back like her masters, is that she's just re-recording all like her first like couple original albums. And tonight she's releasing one of the like singles from back then that she like re-recorded. And I think it's badass that she's doing that. I think that's such a like great way of
it's great to take it back.
Yeah, fuck yeah. I absolutely respect the fuck out of her deciding to like re-record all this and re-release all this.
Yeah. And I wasn't trying to kind of like speak negatively on Miley Cyrus, but it's like I've seen a lot of things, you know, like her record that she put out, it's got a lot of acclaim for being a rock record. And it's like, I listen to that and I hear a pop record. I don't hear a rock and roll record.
Yeah.
And when you're enlisting all these people, it's like, I mean, there's a lot of things I could touch on, but it's like, you know, with her covering Mazzy Star, Fade Into You on her NPR thing. And then like, just, yeah.
Her time Desker.
Yeah. And then, you know, Plastic Hearts, the font from it is like a direct rip of like Wendy O. Williams and the Plasmatics.
Yeah.
And then some Joan Jett merch that was like pretty overtly offensive, was like really kind of danced up to be this glittery thing and put out. I just feel like it kind of like, I'm just like, it's like you're hanging out with Wayne Coyne and like dropping acid and shit. It's like,
yeah,
where are the good songs? You're such a good singer. Like, I really like your voice. So like, where's the artist? Where's the vision? And I don't know. Maybe I don't see it, but music isn't for certain things aren't for everyone, you know?
I have to admit, I agree. Actually, I felt like it missed the mark, and it's a little frustrating because I actually really like her, and I feel like God, I feel like she has it in her, but I feel like there's always like these missteps, and it's always like sometimes it's a little. I don't know. It's probably not even worth it to jump into too much, but I do feel like we will see like a really great one out of her in her time.
I hope so. Yeah. I mean, I feel like when she like sings country, you know, it's like, you know, and she did Jolene, like not that like, you know, I like Strawberry Switchblades cover that too, but it's like I don't really like covers, especially with her doing Mazzy Star, like doing Radiohead's Creep, you know, basically, where it's like they're doing the most popular Mazzy Star song that everyone knows, and it's like popularizing things. There's like maybe like fucking David Roebuck just died, and it's like you know, it's just like I don't know. There's elements missing to it where it's like I don't want to be too snobby about that, but I don't personally like her last record. I don't think that Billy, she like did the Super Bowl and stuff, and Billy Idol came out, and it's just like I don't know. Like it's not to say that I'm not on board with it, but it's just like I've yet to be kind of moved by her as an artist, as where you know even people like Ariana Grande, it's like recent things they've done where it's like, well, I like really think that's sick. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. An undeniable thing where it's like that's really great. I don't have anything negative to say about it, but I really hate criticism kind of people trying to do something artistic, but doing something artistic is such a nuanced thing, you know. So
yeah. What were you gonna say something, Caitlin?
I was just gonna jump on the plug because you brought up Ariana Grande.
Hell yeah. Pod is a woman.
Do you want to plug? Yeah, do you want to plug it?
Real quickly, for anyone out there, if you want to know what Caitlin and I think about two very specific tracks off the new Ariana Grande record, check out the podcast Pod is a Woman, hosted by Eli Ellsberg and Teresa Lee, who's going to be a guest on the show next month. They break down all of Ariana Grande's albums, like 2 tracks at a time, and they had us on to do her newest album, Positions, and we did 2 songs, including the one that she did with The Weeknd. So check it out. Pod is a Woman. It's on all the podcast apps. You know,
just had to jump on that plug. It was right there.
And what do you guys think of The Weeknd on the Super Bowl halftime thing? You guys watch that?
To be honest, I didn't. I just watched all like the clips and memes that came out of it. I didn't watch like the full thing. I love The Weeknd though. Honestly, a lot of people. I
really like The Weeknd too.
But I fucking love him. There's only been like one album of his that I didn't really like that much, but otherwise I love all of his shit.
Yeah, I think when people do the Super Bowl, there's kind of like a medley to be had. Yeah. I think like who better like in contemporary music than The Weeknd? It's kind of like you can kind of go from song to song and make it work, you know?
Yeah, I feel like every year too, because I saw like a lot of people online like complain about, or like a lot of things are like more like the weekday, or like just all these stupid things like snooze. And I feel like every fucking year they say that about the last year I can remember where like no one said anything was like Prince when he played like a fucking like millions of years ago. At this point, like every year since then, feels like no matter who plays, whether they're good or not, like it just seems like every fucking person out there like wants to jump ahead and be like, in the Super Bowl itself, I feel like a lot of people, they always complain like, oh, that game wasn't even that like entertaining. It was just like any other football game. It's like, what the fuck do you expect? It's a football game. Like they're not gonna like do extra touchdowns or do extra
or
this
like
and that.
Stupid Bowl.
Yeah, I don't know. It's always funny when it's always funny like how every year people like just have to like always kind of come from that angle at the end. It's just like whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I think like people like us within our tribes we run within, we're just stoked to see a guitar being played on stage with on such a viewership, you know, kind of thing.
Yeah.
You like you think like Tom Petty playing the Super Bowl and shit like that. It's like
I remember that. I was hyped on that.
Yeah, I don't know.
We do have some questions and some voicemails like that. I did want to ask you real quickly though. We're gonna plug at the end, but you did release a new one just a couple months ago called Skyboxer, correct? Right?
Yeah, that's the new EP I just put out. It's 4 tracks. They're all cut analog at Studio 22 by Thomas Dolis, who's a friend of mine. His act is Mr. Elevator in the Brain Hotel, but he also plays keys for the OCs.
Yeah.
So he produced that record, and he did my last 7-inch as well. So those are all done straight to tape. He actually did this thing with Zebulon the other day, playing with John Dwyer, where he's just doing like an improv synth set. It's like a synth production guy that's like really good, that I really enjoyed working with when I first moved here and stuff and started trying to record. So I stayed with him on that, and really happy with it. It's finally out. We kind of were working on it initially before Corona happened, and then things got complicated and kind of got put on the shelf for a second, and then we're kind of able to come back to it with some fresh ears, and had a lot of friends that contributed on it. So it's really fun to do, because my next record's going to be like where I'm solely playing everything on it, and I have a couple friends doing a couple things. But this EP and the 7-inch I did prior were just kind of a real like circus of just a bunch of friends of mine, where it's like, who's really good that I can get to like just, you know, blow up on this thing, and kind of push my friends to give them some space to drive the car, but then also kind of rein them in and kind of, you know, ringlead all of it, and came out really great, and really happy that it's out now. Yeah,
I was listening to it today, and I'm a huge fan of it. Like I was loving everything about it. It reminded me of like, heard a lot of like, to me at least, I don't know if that's what you're going for or anything like that, but I heard so much of like Mercury Rev and like the Flaming Lips in the 90s, and like Wilco's Summer Teeth album, like when bands in the 90s were kind of like touching upon like that like Beach Boys golden era stuff of the 60s. It had like that sound and quality to it, where it felt like really actual studio analog, and I loved it. Like, it's a really lush sounding EP you made there, sir. It's really good.
Thank you. I like those name drops are all like, you know, constants of mine that I've always kind of loved. So
Eric's really good at this game.
Meanwhile,
I'm like, wait a minute, Zebulon's open.
I think they're, you know, trying to do whatever they can do, right?
Cool.
Let's get into some voicemails.
Live stream thing.
Yeah.
Oh, live stream. Okay, because I know they were open for a minute, like in November and stuff. And
yeah, I went once and sat on the patio, and it was, you know, trying to support cool places. They're trying to make it work. You know.
I know. Yeah.
Any way you can.
It's tricky though. You gotta choose your patios wisely. You know, it's like I'll go to Stories patio every day, but it's like not going on Tinder dates to some dumb place in West Hollywood or something. You know, it's like.
I know. Once I get vaccinated, I'm back in the restaurants, baby. I'm supporting that outdoor dining.
I miss it, man. I worked in bars for a long time, so part of me misses it, and a part of me is really grateful to not be working till 3 a.m. every day.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, shit. All right, let's get into some voicemails we got here.
Hi, I have a question. I'm really interested in the connection between fear and music. So I want to know, what is the most scared you've ever been, and did it have any effect or outcome in your music career?
Did you say fear in music? Did I hear that correctly?
Fear, yeah.
I heard fear at first.
Beer and music. I was Freebird or Reverb. I love it because like I just rewatched Donnie Darko the other day, and it's like, where do you fall on the spectrum between fear and love? You know?
Oh, is that I forgot about, like, I haven't seen that movie in fucking decades, but is that like the Patrick Swayze guy or whatever or something?
Yeah, Patrick Swayze is a motivational speaker. You know?
Yeah.
It's like, where do you, and you know, the real kind of like clutch your pearls, like you're like William Burroughs is it best, like women with their pinched up faces, church going women at Thanksgiving prayer. It's like totally embodies that kind of. And where you fall on fear and love, and Jake Gyllenhaal comes up and he's like, those are, I feel like complex emotions are more complex than that, and that, you know, you can't just lump things into two categories. It's not black and white. There's a lot of gray area. So I mean, I think a healthy dose of fear is, you know, as long as fear doesn't become a problem and it's something that's like kind of inspiring you to be creative, you know, it's healthy.
Yeah.
I don't know if the answer is the question, but.
Well, do you have any experience? I mean, it's a tricky question because it can be it's like, what's your worst life experience? But like, can you think of anything in specifically that like maybe inspired a particular song or collaboration that was related to fear?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like fear is kind of a loose umbrella that can mean a lot of things to a lot of different people. But when I moved to Los Angeles from Atlanta, I really moved here on a whim and like sold everything I owned and moved here with a backpack and an acoustic guitar. And I wasn't afraid, but I think any like normal person that couldn't eat cream of wheat for a month, like probably would be, you know, it's like, I didn't have really like anyone to ask for help, and was kind of just figuring it out and going through a lot of personal strife and that kind of thing. So I wasn't afraid in that time really, but I feel like it did make me more, you know, realize what I wanted to do and actualize who I want to be and kind of reach for the things that I want to achieve instead of just kind of like being stuck on the street, you know, like really put a fire under my ass. And, you know, I feel like a place like Los Angeles can do that to you. It can inspire you. It can trap you. It can do a lot of things. It just depends on what you want, you know, and as long as you're true to yourself and you're like staying natural in your work, I feel like there's a lot of good things to be done here. A lot of good people here, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think you said best. It's a city that can easily fucking swallow you whole, you know?
Oh my God. I'm sorry, Eric, finish.
No, that was what were you going to say?
You guys just reminded me of what I forgot at the beginning, the Lisa Lam thing. I'm so sorry to go back.
Yeah,
to this.
get into it.
It's related to what you're saying, because the final point I was going to make about that was just that I do believe that the environment of that hotel, that all the energy that's gone into that hotel of like people staying there while their lives are falling apart, being around Skid Row, people being murdered there, people going through these horrific events, for someone who is like neurologically already under like tends towards distress, I think that can like really heighten. I'm also the kind of person that thinks like if you're having hallucinations, you're probably just seeing into like some other dimension or something, you know, like I don't think anyone's truly crazy where they're just like, I'm bonkers. Yeah, I think everyone's just like living in different realities. And like, so I do think that it relates to what you're saying, because yeah, I think LA is the kind of environment that's like, you have to be really solid in who you are to like like whether you want to call it law of attraction or whatever it is, you know, like the whole like reality creation here works so like, it's almost like so quickly, because this is a place with so much diversity and like such an engine to create whatever it is you're trying to create, that if you're not like really conscious about that, I think it can get, you know, you can go off the deep end really easily because everything's available to you.
Yeah, it's easy to get lost here for sure. But I love what you're talking about the Cecil, because I feel like, you know, hotels like that are important. You know, like Fran Lebowitz, who was in that new thing the Martin Scorsese directed, talked about, you know, it's like you can't smoke anywhere anymore. It's like, how do you think like all these amazing ideas happen? And it's like people sitting around smoking. I was like, think about Sid and Nancy and their whole, you know, the Chelsea Hotel, and it's like people, you know, live their lives, you know, and kind of a lot of people that are true artists like just want to get by and get through to tomorrow. They don't really have a long game. Which I think hotel life kind of really speaks to. And I like a lot of people are trying to get out of that, and whether you're a sex worker or whatever you're doing, like living out of a hotel, there's definitely a lot to be said about it. And the hotel room is kind of like its own little ecosystem, right? There's something romantic about it, where it's like, it could be a girl's car with the makeup on the floorboard and some Gatorade bottles on the floor. It's like, there's a lot of poetry to be written there, you know? So I feel like there's a lot of art that could be created out of those kind of circumstances.
Yeah,
but I don't know. Maybe you're just talking about hotel song.
No, I love that. I think, and for me, when I was watching, I was like really thinking about, and even every time I drive by a place like that, it's like they have a consciousness of their own almost. Like there's this like, they're so deeply connected to the like society around it, the people, but it's like they have, I mean, there was a TV show about it, and like there's all this mythology around it, but it's almost like it's its own character. And so like the idea that like this girl with bipolar disorder would like be drawn to this place, and then that's where like this, it's like a spider web or something, you know, that just like catches people. And there's something like, I mean, there's something so alluring about that as a story, you know, that I think really captures the imagination. And I think there's a lot of places in LA that are like that. And I agree that it is important to, you know, and just for the awareness that those kind of stories bring to, and this is a little off topic, but I mean, it's very off topic, but the awareness that stories like that bring to the fact that like LA isn't just this like sunshiny beach town where a tourist can show up and walk around at night and be safe. Like if you're staying like somewhere like Skid Row, you see firsthand, like we have a huge problem with like a homeless population, and you know, our government not taking care of people, and it is a very dangerous place to live. And like, you know, anything that can bring that to light. As far as the question that was asked by the listener, we're trying to reel it back into that. I definitely have had so many experiences with fear around my creativity, like, and I know, I mean, like you're quoting the Donnie Darko thing. It's such a cliche, but it's really interesting that came up today specifically, because for me, this whole like question of fear and love as being like opposite sides of the same coin came up today. The symbol I see it in because of a dream I had years ago that I won't get into, but it's a tiger. And in a nutshell, it's like the idea is like, you know, if a tiger or a predator approaches you and you are sort of like feeling you're expressing your fear, your body is expressing your fear, you're releasing certain chemicals, certain pheromones that are expressing your fear, you're going to be more likely to be attacked by the predator than if you are like calm and receptive and even loving. And
absolutely.
I
had a guy pull a gun on me like a month ago. I got a gun pulled on me and I was like, shoot me. I got in my car and walked away. So it's like, I'm from Atlanta. I don't know. It's like people prey on fear, you know, whether it's definitely like a fucking preacher or, you know, a drug dealer or a lover or whatever it is, you know, it's like fear should be a healthy kind of thing instead of something that like inhibits us from being ourselves, right?
Yeah. And I think when I was contemplating that, I'm like reaching the end of this at least one part of this big project right now, and there is a lot of fear coming up from me. And so when I think about creativity, I'm like, okay, it's not just like predators or dangerous people or something that I can react in fear and then I like antagonize this project that I have, and instead of finishing it, it becomes this thing that makes me feel bad about myself, that I'm doing wrong or I can't do, or that like whatever. But so I've been trying to come back to that place where I'm like, no, we're friends, we're chill, I like doing this, it's not a big deal. I am trying to like reduce the whole like, you know, the inflation of it in my head. And
absolutely.
And that has helped me a lot. Just, you know, sit down, get it done, instead of making it this huge fucking tiger in the room where I'm like, I can't do this.
I feel like fear can be your best friend or your worst enemy. You know, I feel like I try to make myself like bleeding heart vulnerable at all times, very transparent about my own afflictions and the afflictions of the world. And I feel like art always benefits from that, from truth, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like you got to let fear kind of like, you know, give you a reason to like, I don't know, you know?
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's get to another one. Boom, 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 boom.
Hi, I just have a question for your podcast tonight with Chris. I'm a fan, and I just wanted to know, my favorite song is Pasadena, and I wanted to know what inspired you to write that. Thank you.
Okay.
Dots?
I think that was almost for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Kayla and I just released a Pasadena song last night, but.
I guess Pasadena is mostly kind of about, like, I live in Burbank, which is pretty suburban, and I always kind of lived in the city and like, you know, visiting New Jersey as a kid. I like loved Atlantic Station. I loved the Jersey Shore. I know it has this like Guido connotation, but like just I would walk around when I was, you know, times I'd been there when I was a kid, and it's like there's broken syringes and dirty diapers on the shoreline, and I think there's something so beautiful about that kind of. But there's also something beautiful about just being content, being happy, and being in a nice place, and kind of a place to lick your wounds from like how the world makes you feel, you know, just a little solace, a little sanctuary. And I guess that's what that song speaks to, is the Pasadena is more like a state of mind, as we're like, you know, like Georgia on my mind. It's also a play on that, where I'm from. It's like Pasadena on my mind. That's a place that you're safe and you're happy, and you can build a family. I feel like Pasadena, Burbank, places like this, like a great place to like raise a family. Like I just turned 31 this year, and you know, my dad had me really late, and I guess I think about that. My sister just had a kid this year. It's kind of just like Pasadena kind of stands for like, yeah, it's not even about the place. It's more about like just how that kind of suburban, simple life, how it's not always a bad thing, you know, especially for people that could kind of benefit from it instead of, being superseded by it in some way. So.
I'm actually from Pasadena, so it's really funny because like that's such an uncomfortable place for me.
It's all relative, right?
Yeah.
It's like no fear, no scope. Yeah, totally.
I totally get what you mean, but like for me, like that, yeah, it has such a different meaning.
It might feel like a trap, yeah, or like
it's like where all my trauma comes from.
yeah. It's all very relative, right?
Yeah.
All right. We have one more of the voicemails. Play right now.
Hi, I was calling to leave some questions for Coma Girls, Chris Beno, for the podcast that's later tonight. Some questions I had were, what did you enjoy most about shooting the video for Wedding Roses? And also, that I saw the article that was published in LA Weekly, where you discussed how much you appreciated Figure 8 by Elliott Smith, and I was wondering what are some of your other favorite works by Elliott Smith? Thank you.
You're welcome.
I guess, my friend that did the video for Wedding Roses, my friend Shane McKenzie, he goes by Snake Chimes In, and he's kind of a VHS alchemist, musician, artist, visual artist. Like, I kind of loosely knew him from, I used to do light design at the Echo before COVID. I worked at the bar there as well, but he was kind of known for coming in and doing really crazy, sick, like visuals for bands. I always had people come in and do projection kind of stuff, and kind of followed him on Instagram and really liked his stuff, and just kind of like blindly reached out. It was like, hey, I know it's Corona right now, but do you want to do like a kind of found footage idea for this video? Me and him kind of became friends and started tossing around ideas about it, spitballing, and then just kind of like ran around one day and just took a bunch of pictures. And so the whole thing was just him taking pictures on film, on Polaroids and film camera, and then morphing it into this stop motion style video. We just had a lot of fun doing it. Like, we kind of became good friends doing it. And his mom's Dale Bozio from Missing Persons, which I didn't know prior to meeting him. And I'm kind of Zappa head, and like Frank Zappa like baptized him, like, oh, that's why you're so cool and creative and interesting. It's like, okay, cool. Like, there's a history here, and it's a really kind of special person. I'm just kind of happy to collaborate with someone that was kind of just like a cold call that ended up kind of being a close friend. So
cool.
like I gained, really kind of gained a lot from that. And what's the second question?
I think they were just asking about like Elliott Smith. They said that you'd.
Oh, yeah, the LA Weekly thing. I mean, I think I like all this stuff. I know a lot of his stuff was released after he died, and there's a lot to be said there. But I like all his records respectively. Like, I like XO a lot. I like all the piano work he does. It's like he writes songs on piano, he writes songs on guitar, and I do the same thing. And I kind of see those songs differently, but they kind of take shape under a similar umbrella. So I kind of love all this stuff. I love Either Or. I love Basement on the Hill, even though it's posthumous. It's like, I just love everything he's ever done. Honestly, it's like I even had a friend that like had a friend that was engineer at New Monkey, and he sent him some like outtakes of Elliott recording somebody I used to know on Figure 8, where he's just like, I want to get it just right. Just kind of listening to him and his voice in the studio, like talking in the talk back and stuff. It's like just always really connected to his stuff, and I feel like it was deeply personal, and that he wasn't ashamed of who he was, just being himself. I feel like that's kind of what I'm trying to do, which is not to make drastic comparisons or anything, but I feel like as long as you keep things natural and just kind of like know who you are and hone your craft and try to do something different constantly, and just try to do something where there's some magic there and it can take you somewhere else, and there's still like a great song there that's present. I think that's kind of what Coma Girls has always been about, and it's definitely kind of become about since I kind of like went solo and moved to Los Angeles.
Right.
Sorry.
I've talked about this before, but I remember right after he passed away, I remember there was a Spin article where his sister, I think she had like put out like a photography, or she put out like a book that was like all pictures she had taken of him like throughout the years, because she was like into photography. And she was just like in the Spin interview, she was kind of like just talking about like stories about him. And I was really endeared because she spoke on how he would often go to her actually to get haircuts, and she said that like he would just like put on like music that he really loved, and it was never like some deep cut like, oh, Japanese import only. Like she said, like she was like he honestly just like to hang out and like listen to like the Beatles and Big Star and Superchunk. And to this day, I always loved that she included Superchunk in that list because I fucking love Superchunk, and I just like the idea that Elliott Smith considered them like just like a chill band that resides next to Beatles and Big Star. I'm like, hell yeah.
I feel like he knew what was up, dude. I don't know. I was raised on all that shit. You know, I love the Beatles, and I don't trust people that don't like the Beatles. So I'm letting babysit my kids if I had one. So it's I can relate.
I think that was all for the voicemail. So let's get to the sorry. Okay. We got the written ones right here. If you were, sorry, sometimes it just takes me moments to like get into like.
You're cool now.
If you were
You're just hanging out, right?
Yeah. If you were a murder weapon, what would you be?
Oh shit, that's dark. My favorite dinosaur is the Ankylosaurus, and therefore I would have to choose the flail.
Oh shit.
Yeah, some Kill Bill action or something. You know?
Oh, is that what like
rocking old ball and chain? You know?
Okay,
something
all
like
right,
that.
cool.
What, Caitlin? What would you be?
I had a choice.
If I was a murder weapon,
sounds like a Broadway song. If I were a murder weapon,
we break out into 3-part harmonies.
Yeah, let me get my guitar. Shoot. Let me think for a second. Eric?
God, what's a good murder weapon? I like anything from the Clue board game, like the rope or the lead
You would
pipe.
be a candlestick, yeah.
Kill someone with a thimble.
I used to like talk about like true ADHD kind of child. Like I wanted to play. I'd always be like, "Let's play Clue," and we busted out. But really, I just wanted to play with like the murder weapons. And same with like Monopoly. Like I'd be like the boot.
Right.
The boot.
Yeah, I
said Monopoly too.
I'm Italian, so yeah. The rope had a certain quality to it. It felt like some like old you know, some old Power Rangers weapon, or it's like some Star Wars shit from the 80s, like
totally
fucking He-Man shit instead of like the.
Totally.
You know?
Caitlin, were you able to think of any
I just
murder
keep
weapon?
thinking of icicles so that I can just like melt after and be mysterious. Yeah.
Did either of you ever see that movie? What the fuck was that movie about the girl who dies? She's murdered. Mark Wahlberg is her father, and she's kind of like stuck in like purgatory, and she's watching her parents try to solve her murder like in the 60s or 70s. It was based on.
I don't know, but now I have to watch this because all I do is watch.
Well, then I won't spoil it.
Watch it.
There is a cool icicle death in it though. If your ex was on fire, what kind of... If your ex... Let me read one more time.
Is this the same person?
Are you asking Mark or me?
These two were back-to-back from the same person, and that's why. If your ex was on fire, what kind of sandwich would you eat and why?
What kind of sandwich would I eat?
Yeah.
I thought you were like, say the sand can put out the fire or something.
Nope.
Not according to the intro to Are You Afraid of the Dark?
That's true.
That's my shit, yo.
That
have you guys seen like? As me think of Enter Sandman. Have you guys seen the show? Robert Fripp from King Crimson is doing all these like live stream things with his wife. They're covering a lot of like kind of like.
Are they covering Metallica?
For lack of a better word, yeah, they cover Enter Sandman and like that's some of the songs. And I'm just like starting to think about all the shit he's doing with Brian Eno, and I'm just like, man. Is that the dream? Is that the goal? Or is that what I'm trying to avoid? Like, you know,
of all people, that's so.
Is that good or bad?
Yeah, there is certain people like that too, where you like wonder where it's like they're so. I don't know. They're like out of touch where they think that Enter Sandman is kind of like they're like, who would ever suspect this song?
Yeah, but it's Robert Fripp. It's such a conflict of emotions.
Yeah.
It's like there's such deep respect for you. Is it ironic that you're doing these kind of simple songs to your wife, and is that endearing and cool, or should I just fucking hate on this? I genuinely don't like it. Like comparatively, you know, I don't know. Try not to be a critic. I try to gas people.
Honestly, like the whole like quarantine era of being able to see your favorite artists like live stream from their homes, like instruments they probably shouldn't be playing, like for all their fans on the internet, has just made me realize how much I don't fucking care to see that. Like,
just like they're gonna say how special it is. No. I was like, yeah, I mean, they could go either way, you know.
No, I've tuned into a couple and within moments just been like, this feels like I'm like spying on their camera while they're like at home doing something, you know, like I'm like hacking into their computer or something.
I feel like the mystery is more interesting most of the time. It's like I've been to a couple amazing shows in my life, you know, and one of the most amazing shows I ever went to, I saw Hope Sandoval. That's why I kind of spoke on Miley Cyrus stuff. I saw her play with the Warm Inventions, you know, Drummer by Bloody Valentine. And it was one of the best shows I've ever seen. And it was pitch black dark on stage. It was at Desert Days like 2 years ago. And it's one of those things where it's like, Hope Sandoval isn't a person where it's like, I don't, you know what I mean? It's like there's a lot of mystique involved, especially in souls like hers. And maybe in Robert Fripp too. It's like, I don't know. There's
she is definitely like
kind of shoot themselves in the foot a little bit.
Yeah, you don't want to see like what kind of like kitchen counters they have and shit.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, I hope Sandoval is like a dream in my head, you know? And it's like, even though she's like, you know, gotten older and matured, and her set was fucking amazing. And just like, I have so much respect for kind of watching people grow and like just know who they are and like hone in on what they do. And so that's always respectable. Yeah.
Caitlin, would you have a sandwich?
So weird. I mean, I don't know. I ate a sandwich today. It was a turkey pesto with no tomato. I don't fuck with tomatoes.
Oh, is that from Stories? They do a mean turkey pesto.
No, they do. They do have good sandwiches. I shot them out in that the last podcast I did. I was telling her I did a podcast as Coffee for Crooners, and I shot out Stories at the end. And then I realized I live in Burbank, and I went to Starbucks earlier, and there was like a Starbucks cup in the background. I was like, this is Game of Thrones shit. I'm like, make light of that before people see it. But it ended up they weren't even using the visual, so I think I just kind of ratted myself out. But go to Stories, tip well. Good people.
Go to Stories, LA people. Gosh, what kind of sandwich would I be, or what would I eat?
What would you eat?
A banh mi.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I guess. Nice. I don't know. I'm craving one of those right now. But if my ex were on fire, I would get the hose.
For sure.
I would not.
I'll drop and roll, dude.
Yeah, I would not let them burn and eat a sandwich and watch it, because I can't think of anything more disgusting than smelling someone's burning flesh while I try to eat a sandwich.
I just feel like I'd be too busy calling paramedics to try to go score a sandwich somewhere. But I appreciate the question. I have a weird question. Can I go to the bathroom for 5 seconds real quick while you guys kind of talk amongst yourself?
Absolutely.
Sorry, I've been drinking.
I'll say my sandwich while you're gone.
Yeah. All right, cool. I'll be right back.
Eric, should we play some Coma Girls?
Sure. I'm sure we can play some right now. I have one right here, ready to go right now.
That's right. I'm going to mute this so you can't hear me peeing.
Comes to shove, you're sticking together like handcuffs. And when you come up, I lace you up like you're my favorite pair of boxing gloves. What did you think next? What did you expect? Your darkest oceans. And when you come back, she's gonna drown you like a train wreck in slow motion. Come off like you're exchanging glances on the sidewalk. You've gotta just cut me off, 'cause you have always been like candy for my broken heart. What
man. We were just listening to...
Thanks for playing that.
Yeah, hell yeah. I was like, I was laughing. I was just like, what if you were gone for like legit 10 minutes?
It's like, next song, play the next song. No. Be White Black. Be White Black.
We got... Let's try to do some rapid fire, a couple quick more ones here.
Can I say something really quick before we get into that? Is that something new and exciting about that track in particular is that my new friend, Jesse Bond, who is an art school dropout, transgender, awesome person from Chicago, is doing an all animated music video for that song that's going to be dropped in the next month. And it's going to be really special. He's kind of given me a couple previews on it, and I'm kind of just letting him do his thing. So I'm really excited to get that back. That's kind of like the cherry on top for the CP before I move on to everything I'm doing this full length that I've been recording for the past like half year. So
nice.
I'm really, really excited about that. Yeah.
Cool.
Hell yeah. All right. Rapid fire real quickly. Are you the big spoon or little spoon? Or no spoon?
Big spoon.
Big spoon?
Big spoon. Yeah. If I had to say it.
What was your first musical memory?
I mean, I remember listening to Wooly Bully in the car with my mom.
Oh shit, hell yeah.
To the Beach Boys and the Beatles, like nonstop on oldies radio. But one of my biggest like lasting impressions from my childhood is regarding music is that I have an uncle who's schizophrenic, and my sister bought a bass guitar when I was maybe 11. She was like 15. She was really getting into like Nirvana and Smashing Pumpkins and that kind of stuff, and I was kind of ditching my parents' old records like Michael Jackson and Dolly Parton to listen to like Silverchair and stuff like that because I was 11 years old.
Classic.
And basically stole her bass and started on bass. That was like my first instrument. But my uncle was kind of teaching us stuff here and there, whether it was like old, country stuff or like trying to show us Leonard Skinner songs or something. But the first song I ever learned, everyone kind of started off with Smoke on the Water, or I guess more present day people are like Seven Nation Army or something. But first song I ever learned on guitar was Batman, where I just play like descending half steps. It was Batman. It was like 11,
Yeah.
And then from there until more like 13, 14, so that's, I guess, my earliest childhood memory is playing acoustic guitar with my uncle at my grandmother's house when I was a kid back in Georgia. Yeah.
It's funny I mentioned the Pumpkins. I've talked about it a million times, but that was actually probably the first band that really got me into music beyond just like hearing music that my parents listened to. And besides, like, Smoke on the Water probably was like honestly one of the first songs I learned, or something like one of those kind of riffy songs. But I do remember the first song I actively tried to learn for the very first time on guitar was Disarm. Actually, angsty little song to be listening to and trying to learn as a
Isn't
kid.
it crazy how how some things age well and some things don't? It's like he's like down with InfoWars and Alex Jones and like running a wrestling company. Like I don't know what's going on. But
Billy Corgan is interesting character.
Right.
If you could be any animal in the animal kingdom, what animal would you be?
Tiger.
Hell fucking you. Kaylin?
I like tigers.
Nice. It's so funny because I've been seeing tigers all day. It's like really the animal of today. I could be any animal.
That also sounds like a Broadway song.
If I could be
I like how this person specified from the animal kingdom. Like I can't just make up an animal. I would be a dolphin again because I feel like it's just like it's gotta be fun to just be able to swim in the ocean like that all day.
Okay.
It's better to be a smartass than a dumbass, right?
You're like half asleep all the time.
It's like you're like you guys watched the new Lion King that Jon Favreau directed?
I haven't.
I did not.
It's like it was not. I mean, like it's like whatever. It's like what you think it would be. Like, but I really enjoyed Mandalorian. As like a long-term like Star Wars fan, longtime Star Wars fan, and I don't know. I kind of like the Lion King was not as cool as Mandalorian.
I could see that being true.
It's safe to say on the air.
Excuse me. I did not watch. Truthfully, I didn't watch The Mandalorian, but I will say I just think it's so crazy that Jon Favreau, like fucking Jon Favreau from Swingers and like playing Pete from Friends, he somehow
You're
like
so money, baby.
He somehow it's so crazy because actually Swingers, whatever you want to say about it, like it did like it was a part of like that 90s indie boom. He did that Iron Man movie, which was like the first like comic book movie that kind of like revitalized like that whole industry. He did The Mandalorian, which revitalized like the Star Wars shit. He did all the stuff, and it's like fucking Jon Favreau of all people. Like it's just
breathing life into things, man. Breathing life into things, like giving CPR to these dead fucking scenes. Yeah, totally.
And Elf, he like made like one of the greatest fucking modern holiday movies. Like it's just so crazy to me that fucking Pete from Friends. This is the guy that's going around just making all this shit happen for everyone. Like I love it. I love to see something random like that.
Wait, who was he on Friends?
Pete. He was the guy. Remember Monica's boyfriend wanted to be in the UFC.
Oh my God, I never even made that connection somehow in my brain.
Quick little story. One time, me and my sister were at California Land. We were waiting in line to get on the Tower Tear, and we saw Jon Favreau walking by, and I was like, oh, fuck, it's Favreau. My sister was like, John! And he looked over, and it's, you see a million famous people, I guess, at Disneyland in LA, but I enjoyed like seeing him look over with his sunglasses all like pissed off, like who the fuck.
It's funny because I saw Vince Vaughn at the Grove one time
shit.
At the movie theater,
shit.
and
what if it was the
someone
same day?
was like Vince Vaughn, and like all these people turned around, and he was just like, like
you blowing up their spot, throwing a grenade into the spot.
I'm busted.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a quiz here. We're gonna throw it over to this now. If I can pull it up here. Boom. Okay. As we always do, we scour the internet. We trudge real deeply into the depths of the internet to pull out the finest personality quiz. And this one is no different. This was developed by Mankey and Kamika in 2003. June 15th. I have to imagine it might have been like the first day of summer for these two people, and a user rating of 2.4 stars out of 5 on 21 votes too. And the quiz that we are going to give you today is, what body part are you? And the description is, find out what body part you are. I always like when the description is just like a slightly redone version of that. So are you ready to do this?
If I had to choose one, yeah.
Hell yeah.
The calf muscle.
Well, we're gonna find out for you.
Is this like, is that one question?
No,
this is 10 questions. I love that happens actually often.
I didn't play soccer since I can walk. I'm a baby calf.
Man, we haven't had a guest pull out a body part since Will Damon showed us his butt tattoo.
I know. Step it up,
Nice.
Guest. All right,
Yeah, come on.
All right, go ahead. Sorry.
No worries. Question 1, is Huck Finn hotter than Tom Sawyer? And I'm going to give you some choices here. They're both pretty cute, but I like Huck. Personally, I didn't like either of them. Oh, God, I want both their bodies. Or Tom Sawyer, don't get me started. He makes me want to make love to a lawn gnome just so I can see him.
Is this, can I digress, or is this multiple choice?
It's multiple choice.
Have you ever seen My Own Private Idaho?
Hell yeah,
and River Phoenix.
Yeah,
I'm always gonna choose River Phoenix. So whichever, if you see him, I feel like I always like the or like Scanner Darkly, Keanu Reeves and Robert Downey Jr. I like Robert Downey Jr. more, even though he's not the protagonist. I always kind of like the supporting actor that's like the Robin to the Batman. It's got a little more interesting, a little more flair. Doesn't one up the guy who's in charge.
That's Huck Finn, right?
That's Huck. Yeah, that'd be Huck.
Yeah.
All right.
Do you feel like that's Tom Sawyer? Are you? All right. Then question 2 is clipboards. This is a question. Clipboards. I have a puppy clipboard that my mommy gave me. They hurt when you clip them to your nipples. Clipboards are useful when you attend an Ivy League school, just like me. Or clipboards are painful but a fun sex tool.
Jesus. You can't think of incorporating that in the bedroom, but I think of a clipboard, I think of a DMV driver's test. I think of someone kind of critiquing you into I don't like backseat drivers. Maybe those people are into that, but it's, I don't know. I'll let you drive when you're driving. When I'm driving, I'm driving. Everyone stay in their lane, right? I don't know.
I agree with that. I don't know which answer that is, Eric.
Yeah, whichever. I don't know. I'm gonna choose E. For
I guess I'll go with they hurt when you clip them to your nipples, because you're almost saying like in theory that you're like the clipboard is hurting you. Like just to think about it right now, it's hurting to imagine a DMV driver.
Yeah, the clipboard kind of stands for something like almost anthropomorphically, where it's like the clipboard is like a form of oppression or something. The clipboard's keeping us down.
It's the patriarchy.
Rip the page. Color outside the lines. I implore everyone to do whatever the fuck they want, regardless of the marks they get. I don't know.
I think of hostessing because I was a host at restaurants and bars for like so long. So I just I remember that clipboard giving me such a feeling of power,
Yeah.
Like
right?
You can't fucking sit down. I'll tell you when you can sit down.
Right.
You're
I'm in control now.
Here?
Sit down, officer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh shit. I don't know why I just reset. What do you think of eyelashes? They are so pretty. Who cares? Let's talk about me. Sometimes I just feel like a great big eyelash. Or not as nice as what's below the belt. Boing.
I'll say letter C because interesting bit of information. When I was a kid, I grew up in this house where we had a fireplace and there was a flue because it was a gas fireplace. You have to open the flue so the chimney can open so that the gas can escape and you light the match. And I was a kid, I didn't know that. So I just turned the gas on and threw a match in there and it blew up in my face. So for like a year, I was a burn victim and everyone thought I was going to have horrible scarring all over my face. And I lost my eyebrows and my eyelashes. And I have real Bambi eyelashes. I don't know if you can notice, but so I feel like they grew back stronger. It's like the Seinfeld episode where he's talking about lifeguards and shit.
I feel like you're like crossing over the years with like the dating game. You're like, I got nice calves, my eyelashes are luscious.
Let's work that in there somehow.
If you ran into a teacher, literally, what would you say? Watch where you're going or I'll have you fired. So sorry. The talking envelope must have taken over my brain again. Hey, baby, you free tonight? Whether it was a man or a woman. Or, I am so sorry, teacher. It will never happen again. Oh, please don't tell my daddy.
Well, maybe the first half of the last one. I don't know. I mean, I'm very like right-brained. My dad's a lit professor. He's a PhD, New York Times bestselling author.
So you don't want him to find out that, yeah.
So it's like I try to like I feel like a much more literary than confidential person. And it's so funny you say this because I literally have Dead Poet Society on pause halfway through right now. And I'm showing it to my friend. I was like, look at how great of a lit teacher this is. And I had a lot of teachers like that. It was like AP lit kind of stuff in high school. And then like remedial math kind of thing, like before I like kind of got cast to different high schools and stuff. And I think like a good teacher can go a long way, especially in the literary arts, like an art teacher, maybe even math too. But for me personally, I had a lot of really good teachers, kind of like how I had good soccer coaches growing up that taught me a lot about just being a person and being a good person kind of thing. And I think that kind of shit's important. I think the teachers should be paid more. And like both my parents are teachers and,
I still fantasize about my physics teacher. So, kind of a lifelong impact.
I fucking love Ron Williams, that movie. So good. He's like a barbaric
so good. Like when comedians do like serious roles, whether it's like Adam Sandler in Punch Drunk Love or Jim Carrey in Truman Show.
Or Eternal Sunshine.
So good. I love Michel Gondry.
Yeah, Michel Gondry's the homie. What do you think about puppets? Oh God, they make me so horny. They come into your house and eat all your oatmeal. I really like Sesame Street or Dumbass.
I didn't plant this question. This is your question, but I'd like to start the puppet show now. So this is Lamb Chop. My Lamb Chop.
And,
he's a really good dancer, good boxer.
Lamb Chop. This is Prince. Also a good dancer. He's gonna kill me. I need to be careful.
They spin on his head.
They must put crack in those things. My dogs literally go fucking nuts the second I put one out into the living room.
Isn't it crazy how you can just give life to inanimate objects and like kind of like the birth of Disney? And so it's like just going like this, giving something life that's inanimate. Like it's like that's yeah. I like puppets. I like Syphil and Ollie. You guys remember that from TV?
Oh yeah.
Like Daria era. That's my shit. Chester with the pocket full of Cheerios.
So would you say that corresponds best with the reply, oh God, they make me so horny? Or
yeah, duh. Look at this babe right. I'm not into toys.
It's like a whole different meaning of sex toys. You imagine you go out on a date with someone, they're like, yeah, I'm really into like sex toys, but then you go home and they're like real toys. Yeah.
We're a package deal.
They crawl on all fours behind like their little makeshift like play stage thing that their like hand goes up behind.
Have you guys seen WandaVision?
Not yet.
No.
Speaking
I
of
probably won't, to be honest.
magic acts and Muppet acts, speaking of puppet shows and shit, it's the best thing Marvel's ever done, dude. So good.
I heard it's really good. If you had 1 month where you could only eat one food for the whole time, what would it be? Ice cream, caviar, chocolate and cheese. Everyone should like cheese. Cheese is like the god of foods. Or cucumbers. But I wouldn't eat them. Oh, fuck.
I feel like my dog eats better than I do. Like, I literally buy my dog, like, super expensive raw food from the internet, and then I go to Taco Bell, like, 3 times a week. So, it just depends on how you're feeling, you know? I don't know.
That sounds like a cheese
That
answer.
sounds like a chocolate and cheese, yeah.
I like cheese. I like chocolate, but, you know, eat some sustenance, you know? I'm not vegetarian or vegan or anything. I like tacos. Tacos are cool. Like some people can live off tacos. You know, you can live off cream of wheat for a month if you're sad enough. You know, it's like I don't know. But I guess we are what we eat in a lot of ways, and not so much in others.
All right, we're going with chocolate.
Trash in my body and gold comes out. I don't know. I do everything wrong and somehow I'm still okay. So,
question 7. I'm hungry, and here are your options. My appetite for sex is extremely large. Bacon. We're making bacon. Me too. Or then get a job, you low-life piece of scum.
I'm always hungry, so me too, because I'm a stoner. Right? I smoke a lot of weed.
I heard,
man.
Sources say that you eat Taco Bell 3 times a week.
I eat tacos, dude. I like tacos, but it's like it's funny how like going to get real tacos. Like I go to this one spot, shout out Angel's Tijuana Tacos. They have tons of fucking locations. Look them up. They're in Echo Park. They're in North Hollywood. They're in fucking Long Beach now. Check them out. They're the best tacos in LA. But then I'll still go to Taco Bell. I can do both, you know, play both sides of the coin.
We're going to hold you to that because that's the after hours. We're going to film it. Question 8. Let's say that one day you suddenly realized you had no pants on. Then you walked into the shoe store and they didn't have your size. So they stole your shoes to sell. And after that, you went to work and your boss wouldn't stop humping your leg. You finally got him to go away. And when you went home, you ate dinner and suddenly you realized that you were gay. What did you eat for lunch?
That's like a long division question where I say you go through 10 things. Like, so what is the square root of this? Like...
Shut up. Something like that would never happen to me. I was laughing too much to eat. It tickled when my boss was on my leg. A cheese sandwich my big brother made me, or I didn't. I was too busy screwing the person who sold me my shoes.
Jeez.
I thought they stole it.
Jesus, who's coming up with these things?
Middle schoolers mostly.
Yeah. In 2003.
Yeah. My people. I don't know. Man, I don't know what the fuck the even question was. I don't know.
Then I'm just gonna say
C. So then what about cheese?
Cheese sandwich. Yeah.
I feel like cheese is permeated to a couple different questions. I'm just gonna choose cheese for each question.
Hell yeah.
Safe bet.
I got you. Do you know who we are? I guess they mean the people who made this quiz in 2003. I don't care if you're alive and have some sort of sexual organ, then it doesn't matter to me, even if you're a freaking mouse. Yes, I'm watching you through my magic computer. Damn, you're hot.
Wow.
Mommy said not to talk to strangers, or no.
The one that preceded that one, the one that was talking about how hot everyone was. This seems like a nice guy. Flattery gets you everywhere, baby. I don't know.
These teenagers are going through puberty, apparently.
Yeah. Okay, we're tone it down a little bit. Let's tone it down a little bit, just for the children.
No, I'm saying these kids who wrote the quiz are like super horny for everything. They're like even a mouse. I just want to fucking tear it up.
Richard Gere style. Okay,
that was a hamster.
That was a hamster. Okay,
weird.
What were we gonna say?
This is how it's all. We're all in our 30s now, and how just like all that shit changes, and just like relationships, sex, and like what you think is important. Like,
yeah.
We're all old now. I'm 31. I don't know how old you guys are, but I feel really old, man.
We're 33.
I felt old when I was a kid.
We are 33.
Okay, so
we're
you guys
really
have seniority. You guys are like juniors, and I'm a freshman on Goth Yearbook.
We got one.
I think you guys are.
What were you gonna say?
Go ahead. I was just gonna say, when I was a kid growing up, this might be a weird segue, but when I was a kid growing up, my sister was really gothic, and she's 4 years older than me.
All right.
So she was in high school, not so much anymore. She's cool. Like whatever. she kind of got me into a lot like the Sisters of Mercy and shit when I was like a freshman in high school, and she's the senior, and I'm like getting driven to school with her cool friends every day kind of thing. And it's like Goth Yearbook. It's like that was kind of making me think about that, just kind of like her and all of her friends and what their yearbook pictures must look like. I get a hold of one like. I live for that shit. My oldest sister was also like, her and her friends were like quote unquote goths for the time. And yeah, I as a young kid, it was very like, it all seemed very dark, mystique, and cool, and like kind of scary, which is so funny because now like as an adult, I'm like, oh, it's like all just like so not any of that. It's like, it's being young and goth more or less is just being kind of like dramatic and bored and horny and lonely more than anything else. Yeah, well, that's why all this Marilyn Manson stuff is so jarring, because it's like I feel like he's a real cult figure and a head figure for a lot of that shit, whether it's like sub-dom culture, just like goth culture. There's a lot of respect to be had within those kind of cultures. So I think like he's someone with a background in journalism that's always like seemed very refined and kind of like been intelligent in conversations and kind of outclassed a lot of people, and like always seemed like the less of the stupid people in the room. And like I'm really honestly, when I ask people about this Marilyn Manson shit, they're just like, yeah, I mean, like I knew that, I'm not surprised. It's like I was actually pretty taken back and like pretty brokenhearted, because I always kind of thought that meant something, and it's like when that's taken from people that believe in something, it's like pretty disparaging, where it's like, wow, it's like if he has swastika tattoos and he's a fucking asshole and like doing this crazy like bigoted shit, it's like, what does that say about the rest of my heroes and that kind of thing? So
well, actually this is a good segue to the final question, because question 10 is men ? Which first of all, the answer is no. But your answers here are: my brother is a boy. The second one is third one is Tom Sawyer is so sexy that it still scares me. I was drooling. I guess Huck was kind of cute too. Stop yelling at me, Amanda. No, you
wait a minute.
Him.
I think I wrote this quiz.
The truth comes out.
Yeah,
I mean,
actually, this is perfect because the final one says, and women and cats, which that feels like Caitlin.
Women and cats are cool, so are men. It's like people are so busy categorizing everything, they kind of lose the intrinsic value that they really carry, that's like kind of deeper than how they identify or whatever. But that's not to take away from whatever people feel personally, but I think we're all on the same side. I think like I even had a friend that was like saying things about transgender people the other day, and I was like, if you want to see someone that's really like on the side of things that are right, talk to a transgender person, because your secrets to be safe with them, and those kind of people have have a lot of beauty and truth to their soul. And I feel like you're not going to meet a lot of trans like Trump supporters and stuff. So, but I'll say the Huckleberry answer just because I didn't answer the other one appropriately. So just to bring it full circle.
Perfect. All right. Let me tally up your things here. With your 100%, you are a tongue. You are frighteningly horny and like to hump things, even your computer. Stop that, by the way. It is distracting. Have fun doing your stuff, though. People like you. You'll find it arousing to spin in circles with other tongues, and sometimes you go places like Mexico. And yeah, you got the tongue, sir.
That's so funny. You literally just spun in a circle.
Yeah, and you were talking about like how much you love fucking tacos and shit. It all works out.
Yo.
Another frighteningly accurate personality quiz developed in the past by a horny teenager.
Hell yeah, we love it. And you know what? We love you, sir. This was a incredibly fun episode. We do gotta wrap it up though. So before we get going, quickly, why don't you shout out where people can find your stuff?
Yeah, Coma Girls LA on Instagram, Girls Coma on Twitter. You can find, if you just type Coma Girls into Google, I've had a lot of press stuff recently because my publicist is doing good work on the CP. So it's a lot of articles you can kind of find. People like writing stuff about the record and a lot of stuff to find, a lot of stuff coming in the works. So stay tuned because I'm staying really, really busy right now. So It's really nice, staying productive. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Well, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. This is really fun. I love that you guys are doing this. It's fucking awesome.
Yeah, and now that you've been on the show, we have a lot of like repeat weird dumb shit that we do. So you'll be back. We'll make you act out weird scenes from movies and stuff that we make up and all kinds of fun shit.
Oh yeah, I love it.
Goth Yearbook class of 2021.
Hell yeah. Perfect. Well,
if I can weigh in on anything in the future, just have me back. I'd be happy to come back. So.
Oh, there's always plenty to weigh on this show. But for now, we are going to get going. So as always, Caitlin, thank you for being the co-host with the Mo-host. I'm going to say goodnight, guys. Good night, y'all.
Good night.
Cheers. Thank you very much.